This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by heavyweight contender Fabio Wardley over Zoom. Fabio, how are you doing?
I'm good. How's things, Andy? How's things?
I'm getting by, mate. I'm getting by, but it's good to speak to you as always. What's going on? What have you got to update everybody with?
Nothing crazy, to be fair. Nothing too much. Just staying in the gym, ticking over. Just enjoying the last few days of my downtime and stuff. Just in the gym, kind of casually, as and when I please, and just ticking over. It's nice to I've always enjoyed the gym, but it's nice to go when you don't have something properly to do. You're in camp, you're not training. It's just I can go, I can train, I can do the bits I want to do, do the runs I want to do, stuff like that. Just nice. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Just ticking over, enjoying some rest and relaxation.
I mean, I know you're only just kind of ticking over as and when you please at the minute, but we did see the British Boxing Board of Control released a circular, it was a few weeks ago now, putting a bout between yourself and Nick Webb, sorry, for purse bids. Just your thoughts on that for your English heavyweight title. I know you've tweeted you didn't seem like you had any interest in it, but your thoughts on them kind of mandating it?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's something. Don't get me wrong. Their eyes are in the right place in terms of what they feel is a good fight. That's one thing I did say is that me versus Nick is a good fight. It's not a problem at all. I don't think he's got any problems with that, and I definitely haven't either. But for the English, I think we're both past that now. I've moved forward since that fight, and Nick's just won an IBO or something along those lines. So again, he's progressed past that as well. So it's the right fight for the wrong belt, I think. I think they should look one up. I think they should try and push that for the British. Obviously, it's difficult because Joyce is still holding on to it, which is his right. It's fair to do. But in terms of the fight, good fight. Happy to do it just for the belt. I just think it's a bit of a backwards, if not a stagnant, just kind of staying in the same place kind of step where I'd preferably like to move a bit more forward.
I mean, what would be your planning around it then, Nick? I know you said you'd rather it be for a higher or better version of some form of a belt. What would be the ideal scenario? I know that you've mentioned the British, but is there any way where, say, if the British wasn't available, you would still fight Nick for the English title, or would you be happy to vacate the English title because you feel that the Nick Webb fight deserves more recognition?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to vacate it. I feel like I've ticked that one off. I've done it. It's cool. There's not too many people that run around defending the English title after we get it. It's kind of your first little notch on the belt, and then you tick it off and you move forward. And that's the position I'm in now, is that I want to move forward. I want to progress. I still need some good kind of domestic level fights, but that doesn't mean that they can't be for some higher level title, something different, something a bit better.
If you were to meet Nick albeit for a different belt, for a better belt, what do you make of the bout between the pair of you, though? How do you think it would match up?
Good. It would match up pretty well because he's got that kind of big come forward. He wants to impose himself on the fight style, whereas I'm more on the outside, dancing and moving, picking my shots, kind of speed and placement. So those two kind of styles, I think, would complement each other. I think it'd be a good fight. I think you've seen an improved Nick Webb from what we've seen in kind of his recent performances and stuff. He seems to have a bit more between his teeth and a bit more kind of fight in him, a bit more kind of interest in boxing as a whole, and kind of wants to give himself to it a bit more, which is good. So yeah, hopefully if it does get made, it'll be a good fight.
The other name which has been kind of bandied about with your own quite a bit recently is Nathan Gorman. I know again it all rests on what happens with that British title, but are you confident the pair of you could meet before this year's out?
Yeah, before this year. Where are we now?
April, nearly May.
Yeah, possibly. It's difficult now because when I look at the kind of our plans as a team for this year and how many fights I've got left in the year, it does look a bit tight in terms of before the end of this year, but early next year possibly, yeah. But in terms of when I've spoken to the team recently about how we want to move forward, what we want to do, how many fights we've got left in the year and things like that, it seems like maybe a bit of a squeeze in terms of, because Nathan's got his own little path, he's on his kind of build back, and he's got a few more wins under his belt and stuff. So we're all kind of in our own little path. So for those to come together, maybe not so quick, but definitely could happen.
One name which I know yourself and Nathan both played down needing to face, and I think after this recent weekend, will certainly not be happening anytime soon, is David Adelaide. Just to touch on it from your perspective, Fabio, his points victory against Kamil Sokolowski. A lot of people thought Kamil was winning that fight or should have won the fight. What did you make of it?
What did you think?
I thought I did believe Kamil did enough to win.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch the fight. So I can't give too much opinion in terms of actually the actual performance of how well he did do or how well he didn't do, or if Kamil won or not. But I think it's quite clear. If the overwhelming majority is saying that Kamil won, then I think we're pretty confident in the fact that he did win. Did he get a bit of home advantage? Did he get a bit of luck? Whatever else, like the game's the game at the end of the day. Sometimes that's just how it goes. But I think it showed that David, needs to just pay a bit more attention to himself. Just like, I'm not one to kick a man when he's down. Like, if he's having a rough time in terms of the public are scrutinizing him and critics and stuff, then I'm not one to jump on it. But I think it's quite evident that he needs to take a bit of time instead of looking at people like me, like Nathan and whoever else, and just focus on yourself and don't run before you can walk. Have them learning fights, have them building fights. Like, Kamil, don't get me wrong, is a tough operator, but ultimately he is someone you should, if you're calling names like mine and like Nathan's or whatever else, he's someone you should be dealing with relatively comfortably. Like, you may have a few wobbly moments in the fight or whatever, but overall performance should be pretty comfortable, and you should get through that quite well. Like, for instance, Nathan's even stopped him. I've never been in the ring with him, but if you're calling someone like Nathan, and Nathan stopped him years ago as well, which is when Kamil was younger, fresher, more in the game, and then again when Nathan was more of a novice and earlier in his career, and still he got through him very, very comfortably. So that's the kind of performance you expect to see against the Kamil Sokolowski, but ultimately it just shows there's a bit more learning there to be done. Don't run before you can walk. Just pay attention to yourself and stop worrying about people like me and like Nathan right now, because you're not. Ultimately, there's levels to this, and you need to progress through them, and you need to take your time, and you're not near me and Nathan right now.
Just moving forwards and onto another man who you'd previously looked at facing, who lost, I think it was this last weekend as well, Lucas Browne. What did you make of Lucas's first round stoppage defeat?
Same old Lucas Browne, eh? All the talk and he's got nothing to back it up. But yeah, again, like, it is what it is. He's I don't know what to say about it. I really don't. I just don't know what to say. Like, he's just he just needs to give it up. It's done. He's 40 plus years. He was never the most skillful of boxers. He never had the most class about him. He just had a big right hand, and when you're older and stuff and you're moving slower and it's not all there, just pack it in, mate. You can cling on to your 1 year world title or whatever version of that is for the rest of your life, but just tick it off, bro. Just done. Go do something else. It's not for you anymore. You're out of the game.
Onto some upcoming fights, Fabio, away from potential opponents and past potential opponents. Chisora Parker this weekend, a fight at the heavyweight and featherweight division many people are looking forwards to. Just your thoughts, though. What do you expect from it?
I think it's going to be a good fight. Really good fight, actually. I think their styles will go together really well. I think Chisora, with Chisora, you know what you're getting. You know exactly what you're getting. He's gonna bring some absolute war, and he's gonna bring the fight to Parker. And I think that will make it interesting, because there's not been too many times in Parker's career where someone's really pressed him, like really put it on him. Like, the times you've seen it really have been Deals, when Deal was really kind of getting stuck into him, and that's one of the few times you've really seen it. A lot of people have boxed Parker from range, kind of stuck away from him a bit more and just kind of kept him on the edge and kept him away. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they mesh and how they get stuck in together. But I don't think either of them will shy away from a tear up at all. And I think that'll be good material to watch.
In both cases, we've got new trainers in their corners. Josie Parker linking up with Andi Lee and Derek Chisora with Buddy McGirt. Just your thoughts on both of them moves and their respective team ups?
Good. It's always good to change things up. I know Chisora has difficulty, or I don't know if difficulty is the right word, but in terms of his trainers and things like that, they do chop and change every now and then. Obviously, since his initial split from Don Charles, so hopefully this kind of pairing with Buddy brings the best out in him. But it's kind of yet to see. But with Parker's, I think his with Andy Lee. I think Andy Lee and them kind of those boys are getting a lot more proven. They're really showing their class and just how good of trainers they are. So I think that is a great pairing together. I think they'll bring a bit more out of him, a bit more kind of spite into Parker's work. Like he puts his combos together nice and he's got quite quick hands and things like that. But I think that real kind of sit down punch power, just them nasty shots, I think you'll see a bit more from him now with the link up with Andy Lee.
And this coming week, this coming weekend, sticking with the weekend, but on a different show, Andy Ruiz Jr. returns against Chris Arreola. Your thoughts, Fabio? What do you expect to see from Andy, especially now he's linked up with Eddie Reynoso?
I expect to see some a hungry. I think you expect to see the first kind of Andy Ruiz from the first Joshua fight, but slimmer, more in control of his weight, with just a bit more kind of. To be fair, I was going to say like kind of more cleaner boxing, but he's always been a very, very clean boxer. His shots have always been thrown nice. The way he puts his combos together has always been really nice and just lovely to watch. So the extra link with Eddie, I think, will be more focused on because he's always had great hand speed and great kind of movement in terms of upper body base. It's been his feet and stuff that have sometimes left him lacking. So I think that's gonna be something they've really pushed on. And I think Areola's kind of the ideal opponent for him right now. It's just someone who will bring a bit of fight, but after a few rounds, then quick hands and stuff will get to him. I think we'll get rid of him in 4 or 5, something like that. And it'll be a nice kind of warm back into the scene, and then he can come off and say, right, cool, who wants it next?
And final one, just pick your brains on. Next weekend, we see Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. Your thoughts, Fabio? Is Billy Joe the man who will overcome what many believe to be the pound star in the sport?
If there's a man that can do it right now, I would give it to Billy. If there is a man that can do it, I would give it to Billy. But I've been asked this question loads, and my answer was always the same. It just depends on what Billy turns up. Now, in the build-up, it looks like this is the Billy Joe that we want to see. He looks like he's been training hard. He looks in great shape, and it all seems to be. He seems to be ticking all the right boxes, and everything seems to be going the right way. So it's just about kind of on the night after that first round or two, we just see what kind of Billy turns up, and then we'll know a bit more what we're gonna be in store for in terms of on the night of the fight. But ultimately, Canelo is still Canelo. He is. For me, he's the pound for pound best at the moment. So to dethrone the kind of king and take that title off him will be interesting to see if it can be done. But yeah, Canelo is never like you'd never kind of not back him. So it's always going to be a tough one. But I'll always back the home team. Always back the home team. I'd want Billy to win, and I want him to come through on the night. Like I said, it just depends what Billy shows up.
All right, Fabio, we'll leave up there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate your time. Thank you, as always, for speaking to Boxing Social.
No worries, Andy. Cheers, mate. Always welcome.